You're listening to News Bite Scotland with Michael McEwan and Peter Newman.
Yeah, so I just watched the STV debate tonight. It was a 2-hour debate, and of note, there was all men on the platform. Obviously, John Mackay and Ross Greer are the co-leaders of the Green Party, and John Mackay was on the Channel 4 debate, and they must do it in turns, where it's Ross Greer's turn tonight on the debate. And obviously, when you're watching something like that, you're thinking, well, what is the main headline? What is the main talking point for me? I don't know about you, Peter, and everybody else that's watching this, but I don't think there was any main takeaways from me. I think the only takeaway, again, coming from the Reform Party, where Lord Malcolm Offord basically said that he'll shut down Catholic schools, and then he went on to talk about he owns 6 houses, 6 boats, and 5 cars. I think I've got my sums right there, and I'm thinking, well, you know, there's a cost of living crisis in the world, people in poverty, people going to food banks, and you're talking about he owns 6 cars, 6 boats, and 5 houses. You're lucky. He doesn't really know about poverty, does he? As well. So that was the main kind of like talking point for me tonight. If we go on to the debate, I like the way STV done the debate tonight. It was 2 hours. Again, different to Channel 4 tonight. It was all men on the panel. Of course, on the Channel 4 debate, you had the co-leader, John Mackay, and obviously you've got Ross Greer. Now, Ross Greer done the BBC debate. He was back on again tonight on the STV debate. Of course, as I said, got John Mackay done the Channel 4 debate. Anyway, so they do it in... They do it in turn when it comes up to debates, because I think that will be a kind of like talking point tomorrow as well. NHS was our first question. Big ideas. No one really come up with, fun enough, pardon the pun, a big idea to sort the NHS cake tonight. I think what makes this debate very different for me, Peter, was the cross-examination, because obviously we've seen 2 debates tonight, BBC and Channel 4. Channel 4 was the shocking version. I think they only had 45 minutes. The BBC only had, what was it, an hour and a half, and STV had a 2-hour debate tonight, and to me that was enough time for the debate. Now, you've got to take into consideration that STV may get 2 hours because of all the adverts that they had in the middle of it. I think as well, the cross-examination, that was the first time we've seen it work in this year's debates, because, as I said, Channel 4 is very short, BBC. So I think that was really interesting, where all the politicians cross-examined everybody on the panel. So yeah, that was really interesting. And then that's when Malcolm Offord came out with shut down Catholic schools. He owns 6 houses, 5 boats, and 5 cars. And I'm thinking, well, obviously you don't know about the cost of living crisis. Anyway, that's the last of the debates tonight before we go to the polls in 9 days' time. So it'll be very interesting. And also, what I was going to add as well was, I think we know this anyway, Peter, but I think when you listen to Malcolm Offord throughout the debates and throughout the campaign, and obviously talking about shutting down Catholic schools, six homes, 5 boats, 5 cars, and you're thinking, I'm not entirely sure if Reform will get any seats. If they do, I don't know in what way that they would work with the parties as well. So that's going to be quite interesting to watch as well. But I mean, apart from all that, it was the same old debates tonight as well. But yeah, that was a takeaway from me tonight about Malcolm offered 6 boats, 6 homes, 6 boats and 5 cars. It was like Crane's friends and automobiles that he had as well. But yeah.
You're listening to News Bite Scotland.
Good evening, this is Pete, your Highland correspondent for News Bite Scotland, giving you my instant reaction to the STV leaders debate. The first thing I would say is somebody at STV has definitely been watching too much West Wing. So we had the well-publicised spin room, and they obviously were playing with the format as a way of trying to mix it up a wee bit. Unfortunately, what you ended up with was still yet another edition of here's 6 guys shouting over the top of each other sausage fest. I thought there were some standout moments. I would suggest that Lord offered talking about his 6 houses, 6 whatever it was, 5 boats, stands out because he's made himself look a right tube there. I thought that cutting back to the spin room every so often to hear what people were thinking was quite interesting, and it definitely mixed it up. And having Colin Beattie being the moderator made a lot of sense because Colin's quite punchy and is willing to take absolutely no nonsense off people, so that was quite fun. The section where the candidates got to directly quiz each other I think sounds good on paper until you realise that actually you have to go round robin everybody in order for it to meet Ofcom broadcasting. So it's a very, very, very long section of the debate. In terms of substance, I thought the Unionist Party sounded ridiculous. Sarwar just sounds desperate to be First Minister. He doesn't really have a plan B, and he can't defend his record. He can't defend his stance on Keir Starmer because he's called for him to go. And all of the other party leaders, but particularly John Swinney, were very good at tying him to that at all times. Once again, actually, I thought Ross Greer came across quite well. I thought Ross actually did quite a good job of, when Offord was making his little braggadocio thing. He said, would you want more or less people like me? And I think Ross quite honestly could say less people, much less like you, and lots of people calling him a racist. And so I am actually proud. One of the things that I like very much about Scottish politics is that people aren't shying away from the fact that Reform are racist. They're not pretending otherwise. And, it's the reason why Scotland doesn't have quite the same Reform problem as elsewhere in the UK is because political leaders of this country of all stripes, this is a cross-party thing, have actually stood up and opposed it. So that's really good. Whereas down south you see people like Starmer and Badenoch, and I suppose to an extent Russell Finlay up here, they are catering to it. They're certainly not opposing it strong enough. Finlay, his only attack line against Reform really is that they're not a proper unionist party, which, okay, maybe they're not, but they're still vile and they need nothing. They need nothing to do with Scottish politics. I thought John Swinney was pretty good. I thought he absolutely skewered Alex Cole-Hamilton of the Liberal Democrats when he was asking about, you back me in my budgets, will you back me again? And getting Cole-Hamilton to pledge that he'll resign rather than vote in Swinney to Butte House is good. I think we should have more of that. Anything that takes Alec Cole-Hamilton out of Scottish politics is, as far as I'm concerned, a good thing, because he's dreadful. So yeah, that's my off-the-cuff response to the debate. I thought it was interesting. I think 2 hours was very long. Like I say, lots of West Wing amongst the people who designed it, I think, and I'm not entirely sad that it's the last of the debates, to the best of my knowledge. God, please tell me they're not going to do another one in the next 9 days. But yeah, shouty sausage fest, people shouting over the top of each other. There you go. So, and also you got a bit of Highland scenery from my take. Thank you. I'll speak to you soon.
You're listening to Newsbite Scotland.
So that was the third Leaders Debate Newsbite Scotland instant response from myself and Michael. Please remember to hit like and subscribe on the YouTube channel and follow us on your podcatcher of choice. We are available on all good podcast apps, even some bad ones. And yeah, this is Pete from the Highlands signing out. I'll speak to you soon and clamp my jaws shut. Take care. This is Newsbite Scotland.
You're listening to Newsbite Scotland with Michael McEwan and Peter Newman.